Nobody should be under pressure when it comes to making a decision about the place to live. My emphasis is always about information, especially when a man is going with his entire family. You have to find out about the city, find out about the country, find out about so many things that are necessary to or essential, to the comfort of your family. My name is Tulu Aladesomi, and this is Relocating Right on YouTube. I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you can get notifications and all that information that you need. From time to time, you get the opportunity to ask questions, and then you also get the opportunity to have some of those little details that will be most helpful to you on this trip. Let's go on this journey. Hello. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on your location this morning or at this time, actually. My name is Tulu Aladesomi. You heard from the introduction, and this is Relocating Right. It is that your one plug to help you with your relocation plans with regard to proper settlement. You know what I mean? It's not just about you traveling or relocating to a new environment. It's more than that. For us here, we would like for you to make proper plans even before you travel. And then when you travel with your family, it's important, that you settle in so that you can be a successful immigrant wherever you are. Okay, so today we're here and we're going to be talking about something very exciting. I can't wait for you to hear it. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with my guest, and wow, I was totally blown off. And there was so much to learn that I had to be like, you know what? I can't wait for people around the globe to hear this. And guess what? This is not just for you. Even if you're not planning to relocate, trust me, you're going to need this on your journey. And then more so, if you're planning to relocate, it is very important that you're here right now, or that you invite your friends to be a part of this. And guess what? Even if you already live abroad, I need you to really be a part of this, because understanding the credit system is essential to your success wherever you are. You see, you really think you know that about this? No, you don't. Wait until you hear this conversation today. All right, so you're going to call somebody right now, send a text message to somebody, just let everyone come in. And by the way, in case you're not able to listen in right now, you can always come back to this channel on YouTube, the Relocating Right channel, so that you can watch again and again and again. I've got calls from people a few times asking me questions, and I'm like, if you really listened to that program, you won't have need to ask me. My guests have done fantastic jobs with their explanations. I tell you, if you come on this channel, there's so much you will understand, and you would need not be afraid or confused. I tell you that. Okay, so we're going to go right in to today's program, and I'm so excited to have my own brother here on this call. Yeah, he's my brother, and I've known him for so many years, and I know that what he's talking about today is something that he lives. Okay, so it's not just talk. Okay, it's something that he walks to, and something that he's taking his time to understand. And I believe he's still learning on it. You're going to hear him talk about that today. And also because I love that he's very real, and he'll be open enough to answer your questions. If you have any questions, which you can please drop on the chat today. Okay, so I'm going to bring up my guest right now. He's Edison Odege, and I'm going to ask him to just introduce himself. Eddie, you're welcome.
Thank you so very much, Pastor Tolo, and thank you for starting with that disclaimer that I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a financial expert by any means, so I didn't go to school to read finance. But what I will share today will be, the summary of what I've learned, right? Either by talking with people, interacting with people, my real life experience, books that I've read and things that I've come to learn and understand. So I'm very confident that we'll have a very, impactful conversation today.
Yeah.
So, did you need me to provide any background about
No.
me?
Before you introduce yourself, because you're going to introduce yourself to let us know who you are and what you do, because that's very important. But then I also like to say that I also really like the fact that you're not just going to talk about this. This is something that you've worked, and this is something that you live. And for me, I think that's very important. We go to school, we get certifications, but the truth is that until we start actually working that thing out that we are learning, I don't believe that you really understand it yet. Okay, until it becomes an experience for you. Even if you studied it, even if you got certifications for it, if you don't experience it yourself, it's not a big deal yet, for me, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Grateful that you're the one that I brought. I don't need one highlighted that you're the one on this call, because I just needed somebody who is walking the talk, somebody who's real and will be open enough, will be truthful, honest, sincere enough to help other people through this journey. I mean, and of course, it doesn't actually mean that you know everything, but you see, that little that you know and that you're walking and that you can teach other people, honestly, that's just good enough for me.
Absolutely.
And for us right now, I know.
All right. So Edison Odega is my name. All right.
Yeah.
I currently live in the United States of America.
Okay.
I started working in 2006, so I've been working very well in the industry over 16 years. For the 16 years that I have worked, I have lived in 4 countries now. Yes. Because of the nature of my work, and that's because I've traveled around a lot. And I'll be sharing some of those experiences as we get along today. Currently, I am an engineering director working for Procter & Gamble in the United States of America. I am happily married to my wife, Abosede, and we have 3 wonderful kids.
Praise God.
And we all live together here in the US. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I like that. We all live together here in the US. So to those of you on this call who are not living together yet, please make sure, because on Relocating Right, we're very big on family, okay? And it's very important that you live together with your family. If you guys have lived apart for so long, that's not good for you. I don't even know why I'm saying this. Maybe there's somebody who needs to hear this. You have to do everything in your power to get your family back together. God bless you. Thank you, Eddie. So let's dig right in. Now, today we're talking about financial success, financial management, to goal setting and everything. And I realize that all of them just come together. But I'd just like to start by asking, how do you plan for success even before you relocate? Because you see, this isn't just about you packing your bags the next week, or this isn't just about saying, look, I'm tired of this country, Nigeria. By the way, please don't get tired of Nigeria, okay? Things will get better in Jesus' name. But if you really do need to jackpot, right, you should do it the right way, and you should plan to succeed. Please don't pack your bags and join so many people out there who are just going to live like an average life. You have to plan to succeed. So help us today to understand, Eddie, how do you plan for success before you relocate?
That's a very, very good question. And also a very, very timely question, especially when you think about it in the context of what's happening back home in Nigeria today, right? Given where Nigeria are, relocation is no longer an option B for many people. It's not an option A. A lot of people just want to move, and some of them for very good reasons, right? Some of them because they want to go better their education, further their education, right? Some of them because they want to go seek better jobs, do better jobs, get on a global platform, right? So there are many good reasons why people relocate, but there's also a lot of frustration out there that's forcing people to get out, which is why a message like this becomes really helpful. Because if you take an action out of emotions, frustration in this case, right, without thoroughly planning it, there could be real consequences. Now, what do you do to ensure that you are successful after you cross the border? I think that's a real question here. The first thing I would tell people is, number one, be very purpose driven. Why am I crossing the border? Right? How you plan for what you do after you cross the border is a key function of why you're crossing the border. If the reason why I'm crossing the border is to get out of the weather in Nigeria, then I can as well relocate to a very cold climate in Canada, or a close climate in Europe, or a cold climate in Australia. And I have achieved my, my intent. So that becomes very much easier. But if the reason why I'm crossing the border is because I am going for greener pastures, I want to go hustle, I want to go start a new life, then the way I think about it is completely different. So I think you need to establish very clearly to yourself, ask yourself very clearly the question first, why am I doing this? Because that will influence a lot the next steps you take and the decisions that you will make. Now, once that is very clear in your mind, the other thing I think you should do is know what is needed. Once that purpose is very clear, becomes, what do I need to get there? So for example, I'm going to go to school. So definitely, because I'm going to go to school, I will need to get a student visa. I will need to get admission to a school. I would need to prepare for how I pay my fees, because it's not absolutely free, right? So how do I take care of all of that? And then I need to start mapping that out. And then I start setting up myself. So let's take example of somebody who's coming over to do school. First, I need to be an applicant. So I need to make an application. The school needs to accept me. And then once that is done, then I need to start looking for, okay, how can I get over? So the school needs to work. I need to work with the school on my immigration to be able to come over. And in the context of that, I need to ask myself the question, am I going alone? Am I going with my family? Because that changes the discussion with the school authority, or that changes the discussion, right? And how you prepare for all of that. And then for the school to be able to answer that question, they start asking you some very important questions like, okay, how are you going to pay for your fees? When you come over here, are you going to be a financial liability to the system? Are you going to be able to support yourself through school, right? So you need to start thinking about how to answer those questions and how to plan for those moments. And then even when you are done with all of that and you have your visa and you have to go, right? You need to ask yourself the question, where do I live when I go there? Am I going to live on campus? Am I going to live outside of campus? All of these questions and answers influence your ability to plan for your relocation. And that's just about somebody who's coming for school. So think about somebody who's relocating with family, right? To any location. Say, okay, the reason why I'm relocating is because I want to go for greener pastures. I don't know what is there. But anyways, I want to relocate. We need to get out of this place. So the question becomes, where exactly is the right country for me to start from? Given my financial capacity today, given the opportunities I'm looking for in the future, now that I am very clear on why I want to relocate and my objective of relocation, right? Which of the countries should I be looking to go to? Which one provides me the platform to perhaps start, and maybe I will relocate even later in the future? What city do I live in? Because it's very different city to city, right? How much information do I know about the place I'm going to? What's the cost of living in that area? What are the kind of jobs that are available in that area, right? What's the diversity of the population, right? Because you could get into some cities and environments that are very tough to penetrate for an immigrant, right? So how much of that do you know before you're attempting to relocate? Because all of that affects your pocket at the end of the day. And I know today we'll talk a lot about finances, but having all of that information is a helpful start to how I plan for success before I relocate. Now, when you move beyond that, one thing I always tell people is secure the essentials, right? And what that means is that usually relocation comes with a level of unknowns. As much as you plan and as well as you plan, there are certain unknowns you cannot figure out until you actually get into the system, right? So you want to protect yourself with what I consider essentials, things that you need to live comfortably and properly. And you will not need to spend money on them after you relocate for a period of time, right? And you know those things that are personal to you, that are important to you, that you would need, to settle down to be able to act as human. They could be clothes, they could be a set of books if you're a student, they could be a traveling bag because you move around a little bit. What are some of those things that you need handy and are very important to you as soon as you get to where you're going, that you don't want to go start spending money on? A wise thing could be, I'm going to buy a notebook, I'm going to buy something for $20. When I convert $20 at exchange rate today, because I'm going to change money, right? It's probably 10,000 or 12,000 naira. But this thing, I can buy the same quality maybe because it's made in Nigeria for 5,000 naira, why don't I buy it in Nigeria and bring it along when I'm coming? So that when I come here, the first couple of months, I'm not thinking about how do I buy this item or how do I buy that item. I already have it packed in my bag, right? So that first month, I'm more focused on some other things. I have capacity to deal with things that are unknown to me, right? Versus struggling with things that are essential and I need to now invest money on within the first few months when I've arrived here. Now, one last thing I'd like to add on this topic, and I know that time is a question here, is really have a closeout strategy. And by having a closeout strategy, what I'm talking about is close out everything in Nigeria. So don't carry baggage from Nigeria.
Wow.
What do you do with the house? Perhaps it's your house and you need to sell it for a good price so that you can get the money and be able to transfer the money. How do you move your money in case you have made significant money and you need to carry that money and move it across the border in the new currency, right? What will happen to the family in case you're leaving family behind? You know, how do you get off the pressure of having to send money home immediately if you're leaving family behind or you're making a little commitment behind, right? So what's your closeout strategy? Think about that, of those things that are essential to you, that are important to you, that you have to do to be able to live very successfully. And you worry about if you leave because they're back home in Nigeria, right? Property sale, you know, whatever that is, make sure everything is properly taken care of. Bank transactions. Do you have the tokens for your bank? Can you operate your bank account from everywhere, anywhere, right? What does that look like, right? Because it becomes very difficult when you move across the border. So all of those things are things I think you should consider and think of very seriously to set you up for success before you relocate.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much, Eddie. That, I mean, I almost feel like I hope somebody's taking notes, right? Because, I mean, these are just the to-do list and things that you should like tick as you make your plans and all that. Thank you so much. I guess if somebody truly walks through these things, they won't have to bother themselves about so many other things by the time they actually get to their location, right?
Yes. Yeah, your objective should be that when you arrive, there's less burden on your mind, right? Especially about where you're coming from. You're
honestly,
more focused on where you're going.
Burden, so that you can focus on the things that you really need to do now.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. That's awesome there. Now, how do you plan for success now that you have relocated? So imagine now I'm in the UK, I'm in Canada, I'm in the US, I'm in Germany, I'm in Sweden, I'm in Netherlands, I'm in whatever country. So how do I now plan for success? I'm here now.
Yes, I think that's a very, very good one, right? And that's just because if you think about it in the context of a lot of things that are happening, people are moving without thinking, right? Now, many people have done that, and you don't need to feel bad about the fact that you didn't have to think about all the things I talked about a couple of minutes ago before you relocated, irrespective of where you are, right? Whatever, once you relocate, I think it's very important to start with having very clear goals and long-term plans. What do I want to do in this place, right? And how do I want to achieve it? And as a matter of fact, I encourage you strongly to write them down, because that's one principle that I've learned, right, as a person. And I don't think, like I always try to encourage people, when it comes to planning and vision, it's not a big thing. And don't make it look like it has to be very formal and follow a certain work process or follow a process like this. In my opinion, it's as simple as taking a pen and paper and writing. And that's exactly what I've done since I was in the university till now, right? It's exactly the same model. It's a paper and pen. It's time to think through what I really want to do. What for me, will be satisfaction 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what I think of the life that I would like to see myself in. How do I write that down, describe it very clearly in a way that I understand it myself? And based on the information that I have today, define a roadmap or a path to get there, right? So based on information I know today because as I definitely move along, I will learn more, I will know more, I will get better information. And with better information, I'll be able to I'll be able to map out my roadmap much better, right? So have very clear goals, dream. Don't be afraid to dream, right? Even though you're here, you don't know how you found yourself here. You think you have made a mistake. You didn't follow the path right. You are probably squatting with a family. You are probably, living alone in a one-bedroom, in a one-bedroom studio somewhere, in UK or in Australia or in Canada or in the US, right? Irrespective of what your status is, spend some time and ask yourself that question. What do I really want to make out of myself right here? I want to become a student that graduates with honors, and I want to become a very successful professional in a company. Or no, I want to own my own business 5 years from now. Or no, I want to become a doctor and be able to go back home and influence the health sector, or be able to make a social impact because I want to help people with. Think about some of those things, put them in front of you. And that's very important. That's very important for many reasons. It gives you direction. It inspires you every day. Because what happens is that when you're in a new environment, especially where you don't have the kind of support you were used to back home in Nigeria, when things show up, you tend to feel alone. And sometimes you need to work on the ability to be able to inspire yourself and motivate yourself. And having that very clear goals, long-term plan helps you with that, because you can continue to see what's in front of you, irrespective of what you're dealing with today. The other thing I suggest for people is to ask questions and seek information. I'm interested in going to school. I don't know how to go about it. There's a school around me. Walk in. Ask for the student affairs officer or whatever they call them, advisor. Sit down and have a conversation. Nothing stops you from that. I am seeking to further my education. I'm wondering if you guys can help me. I'm interested in a program like this. I'd like to understand what it would take to pursue a program like this at your facility. Pick up the phone, call. I'm interested in working in so place. Hey, I'm interested in working at the facility. Here's the education that I have. Here's my background. Here's what I can do for you. Here's what I can bring to the table. Here's my situation, right? I currently have a visa that is this, that allows me to work. I currently don't have a visa that doesn't allow me to work, but I'm, not willing to go back home. I'm willing to work for you if you're willing to take me in, right? Ask questions. Go seek information, because it makes a big difference, right? As you do that, I always tell people, build a good character and equity. It's very important that you are not dubious and you're not trying to find cut corners. Very important that you don't start wrong. Very important, right? Because oftentimes some of the things we do very early on have consequences later on. That's the truth, and we don't know it just because you don't know where you're going in life, right? So you want to be cautious of the decisions you make, and you want to be very intentional about building a good character and equity. The reality is that by doing that, most of the time, you will find that people just show up for you. People want to speak up for you. People want to help around just because you have built that character and built that equity, right? Avoid things that get you into trouble, right? We're very good at driving in Nigeria, and we can drive at whatever speed and drive whatever way we want to, right? But abroad is very different. You get penalties, you get tickets, you get things on your record that could get you into trouble, and anyone just picks it up tomorrow and screens your record and looks at you. Think about the fact that you relocated years, for example, and just because of your current situation, you want to become a driver for one of the companies like Amazon. You want to be able to pick up their packages and go drop it. But you already have a ticket or a bad driving record just because you were reckless and you were not careful from the beginning, right? You just pause your chances. So how can you avoid those? How can you stay on the path of building a good character and building very good equity? And then one last thing I like to say on that would be, watch out for the crowd effect. A lot of people are suffering because of what I consider the crowd effect. It's, we all came together, this person is doing this person is doing this, I should be doing this. Oh, they all say that the only thing that is working right now is bedside nursing, or the only thing that is working right now is IT, or the only thing that is happening right now is this or that. Sometimes I think it helps to disassociate yourself from the crowd itself and really be very clear on what you want to do. And that's why I reemphasize at the beginning that you have to have very clear goals and long-term plans, because it helps you a lot to stay on the path. It doesn't mean that there's only one way to get there. There may be many ways to get there, but at least it gives you that direction and clarity, right? It helps you to stay out. Move away from that location, relocate to a different place. where you can take off the pressure and think with your, and think by yourself and be very sure that, the decisions you're making are clearly the things that you want to do. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, it looks like the internet was stopping.
Hello, Eddie.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
The network is quite unstable, but I mean,
I got that notification too. So
you were talking about watching out for the crowd effect. Can we take that again?
Yes.
Yes, you were talking about watching out for the crowd effect. Yes, please, let's take that again.
So what I call the crowd effect is a situation where everybody's doing that thing and I have to go do that thing. Or because we all came together, we have to all follow the same path. Or because I all live in that neighborhood and this is how people do it, that is how we do it, right? I think all of those things put pressure on you, especially because that's not something that you may naturally be good at, something that you naturally like, right? And you want to pick up yourself from there. It just puts that pressure on you, right? You're feeling like, oh, I cannot go to church on Sunday because everybody dresses this way and I look very awkward, right? And you forget that you're just starting and everybody started like you, right? My recommendation, if you cannot handle a crowd effect, find a way to leave that locality, because there are many other good places around you that you can go to and feel very okay to be able to start your life properly and normally. So think of all those things and work a plan so that you can be very successful after you're relocated. I think the key thing I want to say is that irrespective of how you showed up, there is a way for you. There are opportunities for you. Brighten up and work it out. You'll make it.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much. I particularly love that we shouldn't put ourselves under any kind of pressure because of the success of others.
Absolutely.
All right. So they had their turn and you definitely have yours. Okay, by the grace of God, if you stay on track. Right, Eddie?
Yeah, so that's very true. I usually tell people the fun story that when I arrived in the US, I arrived with my wife, my children, and 4 traveling bags. It's a different story today. It's a question of time you get there.
Amen. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so how do I manage my finances now that I'm here, now that I've jackpot? I mean, my dream of relocation has come true. So how do I manage my finances? Excuse me.
The first thing I would say is follow a budget. There are a lot of people, especially from our side, that don't like this word called budget because they think it's constraining. And
I know.
And that it's a way of depriving you of living the enjoyment you want to live. Some other people also say it's very unrealistic in a typical Nigerian setup, right? They say, oh, I have 100,000 naira. There's no way I can budget it because you cannot even take me to the end, given the current Nigeria situation. And I completely understand that. But here's the difference. Here's how I like you to think about budget. I like you to think about budget as an information platform, as a means of information, right? When you organize your funds and you can put a plan for how you want to spend your money, it starts to give you information about how you are really spending your money. It doesn't control you. For Christ's sake, you're the one who wrote the budget. You can overrule the budget. So budgets don't control your life.
Yes.
Right? But they are in database for you to see what you're doing with your income and your finances. Right? And it becomes very important to have that kind of approach and attitude in countries like the US, like UK, like Canada and Australia when you're living abroad. And that's because you would typically hear people say things like, I pay bills, right? So versus in a typical Nigeria setup where I pay my house rent and I really don't have to worry about where my water comes from because naturally there's borehole, right? Or I don't have to worry about how I pay my tax. If the government cannot deduct it when they pay me my salary, forget them, all that kind of stuff. Abroad, that's not the case. You are very responsible for everything. So naturally, your phone bill will come, your internet bill will come, your water bill will come, your gas bill will come, your this bill will come, your that bill will come, your that bill will come. They will actually come to you, right? If you're not living up to the expectation of proactively going to pay them, and I usually encourage people, always set up an auto payment once you can afford to do that for some of those services so you don't forget. What you need to do, those things will come. So you need to have a budget that helps you say, these are the things which I call below the line. There are things that I cannot do without. There are things I cannot touch. They are the most important things, my rent, otherwise I'll get thrown out the next day, right? my phone bill. Otherwise, I cannot call anybody anymore immediately. Like my gas bill and all of this. Otherwise, I cannot enjoy any of the services. So how do I, by using a budget, organize my plan in a way that before my income shows up, I already know how it's going to be spent. And I can already tell from that how much money is left. Because that's usually the problem people run into in a place like this, where they forget one or two things. And because they forget them and they've spent money, now the bill shows up and they become very apprehensive and they have high blood pressure because they're worrying how they get paid, because the service is going to get discontinued immediately, right? So very, very important to follow a budget. And like I said, the budget is not just for you to
have. And Eddie, sorry, I thought that should be really easier, especially because you know your expenses every month.
Yes.
After a while, after a few months of living in a new environment, you should already know the expenses per month. Even every week, even every day, you should already have an idea of what your expenses would look like. So I'm just trying to say that that's a reason you should actually even budget. Yeah.
That's very true. And that's what I was about to say, which is by the time you start having a very good record of what you're spending money on, versus your plan, it starts to give you a very good perspective of your financial pattern, right? So you could assume that, for my telephone or for my electricity, I'm paying $5. What did I actually pay at the end of the month? I paid $7. So next month, okay, I put another budget of $5. What did I actually pay at the end of the month? I paid $8. It tells me that what I'm planning to spend on that item every month is not realistic. So it's either one of two things. Either I start cutting down on how I use that, this is reducing my expense, or I start increasing the allocation of my income, which is my budget for that item, right? So that I don't get into trouble. So that's why, again, like I said, it's very important to create that tool of budgeting. The good thing is that if you have a bank abroad, usually they give you a tool by the side on your online banking where you can actually create those budgets and see your patterns. They can actually categorize for you where all your money is going, transportation, this. So if you don't feel like you have to spend the time to create a system to be able to track every one of those items, you can actually use your banking tool to just see how your income is going and where you are spending the money and if it's falling in the right place. Again, my point is the intent is not to control you, to deprive you of the things that you really like to enjoy. It's to give you that very good tool to be able to say, where am I putting my money? Where's my money going? And what should I be planning for given that, so that I can continue to enjoy myself. Number two, avoid penalties and interest. Back to the conversation I was having, people just come and because I've arrived, oh my God, they're very reckless. So they drive anyhow, they do things anyhow, they get, most of those things, when you do them here, you get penalties, right? Somebody's going to give you a ticket. You have to go pay a certain amount to the government because you have broken a law, right? It's not just for driving, it's for other things, right? So you want to avoid those things that are unplanned for, they're uncalled for. Why should you be paying those monies, right? When you don't have enough money, when you're trying to settle in and you go to school, why should you be, forgetting the fact that you need to register for a course? Why should you miss the deadline to be able to pay the money, right? Because once you miss the deadline to pay the money, you still have to pay it anyway, and now you have to pay a late payment fee. All those late payment fee are not necessary. You can avoid them, and by the time you start accumulating 2, 3, 4 late payment fee here, you're already spending money that you could use on something else, for paying for the same service. I know we're going to talk about credit later, right? I tell people, when you arrive, do not misuse credit. Credit becomes available. So the question was, how do I manage my finances? And people will find out that they have access to credit. I know we'll spend a bit of time and talk about it later in the program today. My comment at this point is, do not misuse credit. Build credit.
Yeah.
Build credit, do not misuse credit when you arrive, right? Credit will be available to you. Monies will be available to you depending on how you arrive. And I want to be conscious of the fact that there are so many people who will be listening to us that may not necessarily have all their immigration papers, which means they may not even be able to access the credit we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk specially about what that looks like as we get on the program. But if you are able by any chance to access credit, please do not misuse it. Make sure you are leveraging it and you're building credit.
Wow, this is awesome. Don't misuse credit. We're still going to go there anyway, before the end of this, before the close of this program, so that we can explain more I'm actually excited about it. I can't wait to get there because, I mean, even after we spoke yesterday, I was having that conversation again with my sisters at home and we're talking about it. And I was so excited, especially because I now understand it better. I guess I didn't, before now. So when you explained to me yesterday what it works, how he works, I was like, wow, really? Okay, so let's
And
go
that's
there.
exactly why I actually mentioned and re-emphasized when we talked earlier about seeking information and asking for information.
Yeah.
One thing I encourage people to do is that when you're unclear about, when you relocate and you're unclear about what you want to take, but you need information, go to where you can get the information. So for
Yeah.
example, if you want to access credit, feel free to walk into a bank and speak to somebody at the bank and say, I want to get a credit card. What is the implication of getting this credit card? Why do I need to get this credit card? What are the benefits of getting this credit card? You'll be very surprised. There are different types of credit cards, a different type of credit facilities. Ask yourself the question, do I get it from a bank? Do I get it from what we call a credit union? What does that do? Get the information before you make the decision. I think that's a very good approach for somebody who just relocated.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so now we know there are different categories of people who have relocated right now. Okay, so let's focus on those who are there right now. So there's something we call under the table job, and that's what some people have right now. So how can somebody like that manage their finances such that it grows and they're able to move from that point to living, their dreams, hoping that they have dreams, okay? Because we've already talked about that. So hoping that they have goals and desires to get better, because you see, there's some people who've been in certain countries, Canada, the US, the UK for so long, and they've been in this situation, okay, or they've been in this category, and we're going to get there. But then, while still doing under the table jobs, how do you manage your finances so that you can live well and then be able to get better, like live your dreams? Yeah.
Absolutely. So doing under the table job is because of certain conditions. People who do under the table jobs typically do not have immigration papers or have certain issues that they want to avoid the system. So under the table means that you are doing a job that cannot be traced by the system. So your pay, your salary, whatever you're earning is not paid through any payroll. Nobody can track it. Nobody can track your finances because you are pretty much getting money very likely as cash, spending money very likely as cash, versus you don't have a bank account, you don't have any of everything, right? So you're under the table. That's what people mean. Now, when you're under the table, it means that your situation is very special. Very likely you don't want to go back home. Of course, right? Nobody wants to. You jackpot, you came here, and then home is not an option. Probably in the list of options, it would probably be option 100, right? You want to explore the other things before. How do you manage yourself in that situation?
Yeah.
We talked about some of the points already. Number one, manage your expenses very closely. So for somebody like you, it's even very super duper important that you have a budget plan and you know exactly where your money is going. Because as your income gets impacted or get limited, which is what will happen. So you typically will be paid half of what you should normally be paid for doing the same job, if you had papers and you were formally employed and all that kind of stuff, right? But because now your income level is very little, then it even become more expedient for you to have what they call a budget plan for the intent of what financial information. Because now you know where your money is going, right? So assuming 50% of your income is going to your accommodation, you can start asking yourself, because I want to figure out how to do something different and I need to save some money to be able to do that. Do I need to leave the current accommodation I live in and move to a smaller one? Do I need to leave maybe the city I live in because the accommodation here is more expensive than somewhere else, right? So I can go to somewhere else where the accommodation is much cheaper and I perhaps will do a longer drive, or I can get on a train and come from that same place in case I want to maintain the job in this same location, right? So those options become available to you. Start asking yourself the question of, how do I cut down my expenses? How do I manage my expenses? Because you have that information. Oh, I'm spending so much money on maybe gas or fuel, right? So do I move closer to the place where I'm working? Do I relocate? It's always about getting the information to be able to ask the question of, what do I need to do to cut down my expenses? Very important. So manage your expenses very well. I always say find good places and non-profit to shop. I always say that to people because the beauty of living in societies like this, and I tell people this, the reason why you have societies like this prospering is because they always find a way to take care of everybody in the community. And here's the advantage of doing that. When everybody in the community is taken care of, less and less people think of criminally minded, things. Like if I can go out and get what we call a stamp to be able to get food, it means the government gives me something. I take it to a store, I present it to them. It's almost like money. I can buy food and turn it over to them, right? Or I can go to a location where the government is giving food for free, and by virtue of my stamp, I can go there and I can get the food. Or I can take that stamp and I go to a place where, I can buy clothes and that kind of stuff. The society and the economies in these countries where people are relocating are set up such that you have a ton of non-profit. So for example, in the Goodwill, you hear things like thrift stores. You hear things like, a Goodwill store. You hear things, there are different people who are operating different non-profit organizations just to take care of the poor and the needy.
Yeah.
And usually what they do is they have very standard shops where people can actually walk in, buy things at very discounted prices. And that's because almost everything they sell is donated, either by companies or by individuals. So they're getting most of the things that they sell for free. So there's no cost of purchase. The only thing they're really paying for is, the cost of people sorting the things out, arranging the store and taking care of the store. So things in those locations are ridiculously cheap. Find some of those places if you are working under the table to shop from. You can get food at very good prices. You can get furniture at very good prices. You can get clothes at very good prices. You can even buy things like cars at very, very good prices, affordable prices. Look for those kind of ways to be able to source for the things that you get so that you spend very little money on expenses, on living, because your income is very limited. The other thing I would say is make timely and sharp choices. Ask yourself the question, this place that I'm in, is this the best place to be? Even while things are under the table, there are options. A lot of people are looking for under the table employees. Yes, a lot of people do that. They look for under the table employees. They know that, because of your immigration situation, you cannot ask for X, Y, Z, but they're willing to pay you much better because, they know that your skill is good, right? And so they're willing to offer something better than it. So keep your mind open and continue to look for options. Don't believe that the only place you are, the person is doing you an amazing favor because the person is paying you underneath the table.
Yeah.
So there are options. There are options there.
Can get better.
Correct. And if you need to move and if you need to relocate, please take action and make it very fast. Again, I would say talk to immigration experts, because oftentimes people feel like they are at the point where, their life is made. They cannot get better than this. But that's not true. There are tons of things that are available immigration-wise that will shock you. And in today's world, especially where things are now, with politics and COVID and all this stuff, immigration policies are changing in different countries. You can think about what happened in Canada, how they were getting a ton of people based on skill levels and all that kind of stuff. You may find out that you may become qualified for any of the current immigration, systems or packages or options that becomes available in the country. So you want to stay connected and continue to tap on it. And as a matter of fact, I always tell people sometimes we're limited on what we know about immigration. That's because it was my brother that told me, my sister that told me, I heard it from here and I heard it from here. And I assume that that's absolutely the law or absolutely correct, which is not necessarily true. So by showing up to an immigration expert, to an immigration lawyer and asking the question, I'm presenting my case and saying, hey, here's my case, what can I do? And consistently knocking on that door to find more and more, because things are changing, right? You may just find an opportunity that clicks for you and takes you from below the table. So that just opens opportunities for you. On top of that, I always tell people one thing that's very important. If you are under the table, learn a handy job. A ton of people are doing handiwork and they're very important. People cannot do without them because they call them to come and get the work done, right? And those people flow through networks and connections. They're not advertising themselves on Facebook. They're not advertising themselves necessarily on most of the public forums, social media platforms that we know, based on, I got somebody who cleans my house, who sweeps my house, and she does a fantastic job. Or based on, I got somebody who painted my house. There was a guy who mows my lawn. The guy's awesome. And I do those jobs very well. And I insist on getting paid cash. As a matter of fact, recently, I had to fix a drywall in one of the buildings where I was living. And, I had to look for somebody who can do a really good job so I can get really good quality. I was surprised that even though the guy was underneath the table, the guy was actually, having a conversation with me based on appointment. He's very busy. He doesn't have time. And he is not charging me
Yeah.
peanuts because he's underneath the table. If I don't want his service, forget it.
Mm.
He's got people who are chasing him, even though he's
Wow.
underneath the table. He wants a
Yeah.
good price and he's living a good life. As a matter of fact, he came the first 2 times and we became friends. So he came the first time, looked at the place. Second time he came, did the job. And then I realized that there was something wrong with one of the door handles in my house. So like I called him again and said, hey, can you come look at this and help me fix that and that? And when he came the third time, he actually came with a brand new car. And after he finished, because we became friends and we talked, I said, hey, what happened? This is really
Wow.
good. You're making huge progress here. What has happened? So he said, but he just bought it recently. He's been in the US for XYZ. He told me the story of how he got into the US, how he's been living. He's doing handy job and he bought his car cash. I'm telling you, like he bought his car cash, which means he didn't have any credit buying his car. We're talking of a car that's almost $40,000. That's somebody who's underneath the table. So there's always hope,
Yeah.
if you're willing to work hard. All of these options are available to people who have found themselves in those kind of conditions, right? I always encourage people, do not put yourself even in a worse situation by trying to do something that is not good. Be open for, what comes up.
Yeah.
Continue to leverage information. Information is the way out. So there is a lot of opportunities
Yeah.
there could be a lot of opportunities for people who are even under the table.
Wow. Eddie, you know what? I feel that there's something I observed something about that guy. Apart from the fact that he leveraged information, I think also he was diligent. He's diligent. He's very hardworking because some people can be lazy, Eddie. Some people can be lazy. They're just not willing to push, or do something extra or go an extra mile. Okay, so
That is
this
so true.
guy, yeah.
Go ahead, ma.
Yeah, no. I was just adding to what you said, about the guy, because I didn't meet the guy, but from what you said, I can just tell the guy is very hardworking. The guy, if people are, and he's good at what he does, he's diligent. That's the reason people will call him to come and patch.
Absolutely. Countries abroad, and that's the reason why immigration is moving into those places, have a ton of opportunities. Every single day I am driving, there's no day I'm driving out that I do not see an advertisement for we're looking for people. As a matter of fact, we'll pay more. That's the new news everywhere in the US. We'll pay you more. Come work for us. We'll pay you more. Come work for us. Jobs are available everywhere. Now, a number of these jobs cannot be secured by people under the table. That's correct. But like I said, if you choose to leverage handiwork, I think you have a good chance, at helping yourself financially by learning something. And just back to the point you made, by being hardworking. So avoid being lazy. Look for options, right?
Yeah.
You more learn. But let me give you a very good example. We have people who come to clean our house, right? When they come, when they clean the house, they do it for a couple of hours. But when they leave, you can tell the difference between them cleaning your house and you cleaning your house yourself. If you have good ones, I'm not talking about the bad ones that just come and, use a vacuum cleaner, make some noise, walk around. If you have very good ones, by the time they leave, you'll be wondering, I can't do this. Because they'll be so thorough, they've had the skill of knowing how to do it that way because they've learned over time consistently. As simple as the detail of how they leave the tissue in your bathroom, to the kind of patterns they leave on your carpet if they're or the way they clean your drywall or your dry floor. They have learned that skill such that you will always want to bring them back and have them come do the job. Very recently, we're working on a construction site, and I had the team, when we're getting into that COVID era and that COVID situation, we said we wanted more frequent cleaning. So how can we do it for cheaper? So somebody said, I know somebody who can do it. Obviously, I understood that he was trying to reach out to somebody who works under the table, right? To come do it. The person comes at the end of business every day. Everybody's left the office at 5 o'clock. The person cleans the place between 5 and 6 o'clock every day. And we used to pay the person a very handsome price, right? just because that person is very good. We
Wow.
come in the office the next morning and everybody's like, wow, we should be doing this. Guess what happened? After COVID, we refused to let the person go. We kept the person for the same time, and we wanted the person to continue coming to clean, the environment, even though it was underneath the table, right? So by learning handiwork and being diligent, back to what you said, you will always get, requests for call. I think it's very important that people understand that there are opportunities here. And once you are diligent and willing to be hardworking and take on them, irrespective of what your status is and who you are, you'll be able to find something for yourself.
Yeah. Awesome. Which is what would then lead to the next point right now, because I feel like there's certain people who had dreams to go to school, maybe because the cost of education was too much for them. So they just resolved to doing under the table jobs. I mean, such people, I feel they should, at certain points in their lives, be able to like save up enough to go back to their original dreams, the original intents in their hearts when they came into the country. I know some people came in, they didn't even have a dream, with no goals, no nothing. But sincerely, there's some who actually really wanted to go to school. They had great dreams. They wanted to do a business and all that, just to remind them that, look, don't forget the dreams you had in your heart. Don't forget the reason, the purpose behind your coming here, such that you're able to save up and are able to still go to school or do the certification or do what you've always wanted to do. So let me now ask, is there still hope for such people who have lived abroad for many years and do this under the table jobs?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you've connected the dots on everything we've talked about today. So remember when we started, we said have clear goals and long-term plans. So you came in as this, you wanted to go to school. You still want to go to school. Awesome. You're on the right track. There's a ton of hope for you. The question is how you get there. And don't forget what I said at the beginning, which is you could have a plan, but there are many roads to get there. So based on the information I have, the only road I know today is road A. Tomorrow, I have better information. I know that a road B is an option, a road C is an option. So it becomes how flexible are you, right? And I always encourage people to be flexible, right? Because the more you know, I mean, there are always different options. Since I came to the US, I've probably thought about getting to something through A, and it turned out that I actually got there through B, right? Because I came to know more information and, I leaned forward and I went in that direction. So be very flexible on the road there and on the path that gets you there, right? Don't give up on your dream. Hold on it. The third thing I would say is be very diligent, like you said. I am a strong advocate for building good character and equity. Very strong advocate, because I've seen it turn the lives of people around. I tell you the experience of a brother who is like 4 or 5 years ago, I met him in church and he was under the table, like literally living with himself, his family, 2 kids, and his mother-in-law in an apartment that you would not want to visit, right? But what got him to where he is today is the fact that while he was under the table, he was super duper diligent at his workplace. The owner of the place just decided and called him one day and say, I'm going to file for you. I'm going to make a case for you, right? Because you're very diligent. And tripled his salary after giving him papers with his family. And as I'm speaking to you today, the guy has 2 cars, bought a house, he's living a good life with his family. As a matter of fact, his wife is back to school. She's almost completed education and she's gotten a job and she's working in a big organization. This is a transformation of 4 years, driven based on good character and good equity. So irrespective of where you are, be very diligent and make sure you focus on that. And then most of the things we've talked about, expenses, and not just for how you save money. It's not just for how you control money. It's also about how you save money. One of the things I usually tell people is at the end of the day, you will find out that, oops, I need to control my expenses because I want to be able to at least put something aside every month. So back to the point you made. I want to go to school. I want to go back to school, right? How do I start putting aside $200 every month, $300 every month to aid my ability to be able to go back to school? And after a couple of times, I can go back and get started. And I always tell people it's never too late. Again, time is just a function of how you're thinking about it, right? You can be very surprised that once you get on the journey, you move faster than you thought, right? And you get things faster than you thought. The last thing I would say on that is information. Many times we lock ourselves out of opportunities because of the lack of information, right? Who told you there's not a school that is willing to give you maybe a scholarship to get started with? Who told you cannot access scholarship to be able to get started in school? As a matter of fact, I didn't realize until a certain point in time when I was in the US that having stayed in the US for a period of time and paid taxes for a period of time, you can actually pay the same fees at schools like people who live in that state or that community versus pay as an international student. Yes. So if you have gotten into the country, you have actually contributed by paying taxes, you've actually worked for a period of time and paid taxes, you can actually start to be treated like somebody who's local, irrespective of the fact that you don't have a green card or you don't have permanent residence. Yes, you can be perceived as that because you're already contributing to the central pot that takes care of those services, right? So information makes a big difference. And just finding that out was like, boom, right? I do have a friend, who's enjoying that because, his wife is he's working here. He doesn't have his permanent papers, but still his wife is going to school and he's paying local fees. He's not paying as an international student for his wife. So there are a ton of opportunities that can become available to you just by information. So like I always say to people, when you find yourself at a point where you have not reached where you are going, don't be tired of asking questions and seeking information because you will just find out that there's a ton of opportunities. I mean, communities here and countries like the US, UK, Canada, Australia make tons of opportunities available such that, people can go to school. They encourage people to go to school so that people can become better at life, so that crime rates don't grow and all that kind of stuff. So it's really how can we make everybody in the community succeed? That's the focus of communities like this. So there's a lot of opportunities.
Wow. Yep. Awesome. Thank you. I like that. All right. So that's a country. Those are countries that considerate countries where things are actually working.
Yes. Yes. And they're thinking about everybody.
Yes. Yes. All right. So let's go to goal setting now for a while. I mean, for the next few minutes, because I know in the midst of everything, as you plan to relocate, even by the time you reach your destination and then you're getting to settle in, it's important that you are able to set goals. I know we've said something about it, earlier on, but I think we need to also major on, because sometimes when people hear something about goals in their heads, they're thinking, does life have to be this difficult? Do we always have to be this serious? But the truth is that if anybody truly wants to achieve anything in their lives, they need to have goals. All right, so please let's talk about that.
And I like the way you introduce that. I like the way you introduce that because that's something that's very important. People feel like, oh, once you talk about goals, you're serious. That's not.
What?
Please, that is not. Goal setting doesn't make you become an over serious person. I don't think of anybody that doesn't have goals. You wake up in the morning, at least we're going to go here. That's a goal. I'm going to go to the park to go and play today. That's a goal. You want to go to the park and have fun. That's a goal, right? So it's not, people think of goal setting in the context of, okay, now I have to be serious, take myself up, get to pen, get board, write it. Then I have to come back and be checking up. No. I think that I'm such a strong fan of goal setting, and I think it's very inspirational. I don't believe there's anybody that doesn't get inspired, doesn't enjoy being inspired. And I feel that your goal setting should be done in a way that inspires you. Nobody's holding you. Come on, for Christ's sake. Even if I write the goals and I share it with somebody, it's still my choice to follow it or not. All right? So at the end of the day, feel relaxed, feel calm, and think about it very
Well, it's just that it's in your interest to follow it.
Correct.
Eddie.
100% with you. 100% with you. It's in your interest to follow it, and you'll find that as you go. And I'll come to that in a minute. But the point I'm just trying to make is that it should be very inspirational for you to do goal setting. Think of it from that context, right? It's very, very inspirational. It's refreshing. It's good to think about the fact that you can actually get something. Let me tell people something. I usually say something, set goals for the small things. Because what scares people away from goal setting is that, hey man, they think like it's okay. How can I become a millionaire in 2 years?
I want to build a house.
Yes. So it just becomes, okay, I'm not even going to go there. I beg, I want to enjoy myself. No, set goals for the small things. When I first came to the US, I wasn't prioritizing some of the big things that I eventually got to do. I just focused on what I consider the very small things, right? How can I get this or that my family needs? Very, very small, right? As small as they were, I was able to hit them. And you cannot imagine the power of that. If I could do this, I could do the next. That was the power that came out from that effort and that activity, right? Very minor things. It didn't have to affect how I was living my life, what I was doing, and all that kind of stuff, but it gave a lot of inspiration. So goal setting inspires us to success. That's something I like to reinforce. It inspires you to be successful, right? Because starting from small, it just reinforces the confidence you have that you can do the big when you get there. It helps to drive a very strong path forward, right? Especially for you are now in a foreign land, there are many things going through your head, right? When you sit down and try to plan your goals, it just clarifies, it provides us clarity, which I think is very healthy for you. Provides that clarity to you on, okay, this is what I want to do. When I came to the US, I mean, someone like me, people would say, oh, go do a master's, go do this, you have to go to this school, you have to. Easy, calm down. Ask yourself, why don't you go do this? Why don't you go do that? It just drives that clarity for you to be able to ask yourself those questions, right? When you come up, people say, oh, you need to go file for this, you need to follow immigration, this, you sit down and ask yourself the question, why don't you go do this? Why don't you go there? That clarity is very, very important for somebody who has relocated, right? And it helps to keep you on track. Save yourself the trouble of finding out later that you've made a mistake. I'm somebody who, I spend every Saturday morning, I spend 1 or 2 hours, just looking through the things I've said I would do, reading them and smiling to myself. Where I don't achieve them, I don't beat myself up too badly. I remind myself that there's a tomorrow. And where I hit them, I celebrate that Saturday, I celebrate that weekend. I make that weekend so much fun because I hit a goal. So for me, it's a positive venture. And I always encourage people to make sure that goal setting is very positive. It's not something that becomes a torment for you, that becomes hard work for you, right? So it helps to keep you on track. And it helps me to see very clearly, okay, of all the things I want to do, where am I off track or where am I on track? And I know very clearly at every point in time what I'm not doing right and what I'm not on track on. But I don't allow it to put pressure on me. So that's a conversation for another day, but how you manage that. But it's extremely important to set goals. Because in an environment like abroad, where there's a lot of opportunities, you can actually get driven by things that are not necessarily your passion, just because you're following the crowd, or you can actually miss out on opportunities to actually do what you are set out to if you are not intentional about setting goals and tracking your progress. So I encourage people to just take a pen, paper, and write. And take that sheet of paper and look at it once in a while. It could be when you're just about to go to bed and you're wondering how to close your eyes, and you just take that paper and just put it in front of you.
That one works for me. That one really works for me. Yeah.
And just read through it and see, okay, what am I not? What can I? Where am I? How are things going? And usually you find out that sometimes some of them are so on track that you go to bed with a heart of gratitude, which makes your sleep even better. And sometimes you find out that you're not necessarily on track, but you wake up with the next morning with a lot of energy to say, okay, I'm going to do something about this. So it's really how you can use that to influence yourself positively, right? Versus making it a tool that puts you under pressure. Looks like our internet is very slow. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me?
No, I didn't hear everything you said in the last 1 minute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
The goal setting should be a tool. Yes. So I was saying that goal setting should be a very simple tool that helps us, celebrate our wins and keeps us on track for where we are off track, versus it's a tool that creates pressure, that causes pressure on us. I think people should see it that way, right? Because it's important for me.
Wow. Hello, Eddie.
Yep, I can hear you. I'm just trying to move around a little bit just to make sure that it's the connection issue is not from my side. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Okay, beautiful. Yes, I can.
Okay, very good.
Okay, that's awesome. So you were talking about goal setting, and you said it helps to keep one on track. And I agree, because I'm thinking, how do you even know what you've achieved if you don't set goals?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And I think it also helps take care of the pressure if you're someone who's smartly using it.
Yeah.
So you've relocated here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure for somebody who has relocated.
I get that. Wow.
Right? There's pressure from home in Nigeria because depending on how you relocated here, right, you have to, take care of things at home. There is
People
pressure
home,
from people around you, because depending on where you are living, you need to show you're making progress, right? There is pressure from, am I living my life stream and my life's purpose, right? Okay, I really want to be this. Now I'm not able to get there because maybe I'm still under the table, or I haven't gotten the dream job I want to be able to save money to go pursue this dream that I have. And it looks like time is running out. So there's a lot of all of this pressure. But when you're able to set goal and it just drives that clarity of, okay, this year, I think this is what I should focus on, not focus on X, Y, Z. So it takes that pressure off you of, okay, 5 years, okay, should I be doing this now or not doing this now? You know what I mean? It takes all that pressure because it just organizes you to be able to focus on what's important for the now. So I think it's, in my opinion, it's medicine for, healthy living to set goals. I don't know why people would think of it differently. It's very fun and inspiring.
Hello, Eddie.
Hear you. I think the internet is
Hello, Eddie. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me well?
Wow. Thank you, Jesus, for this network. I didn't get that. We didn't hear that in the last 1 minute.
Okay. So I was saying that when you set goals, can you hear me well, loud and clear now?
Yes, I can, loud and clear. Yeah.
I was saying that when we set goals, it helps us to manage pressure. Because pressure comes from different points.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I gave examples of what happens when you japa. There's pressure from home in Nigeria. There's pressure where you have come because you're probably living with certain people that have certain expectations of you. By now you should be here. By now you should be there. And there's also pressure because personally you have certain dreams and goals you want to achieve. And maybe you're not able to start moving on that track right now, and you are feeling the pressure of, will I ever get there? By setting goals, you clearly tell yourself what's important for today and what's important for tomorrow. And you focus on that. That clarity helps you to just manage that pressure. What do I need to do for the people in Nigeria today? They need $500. Okay, how do I focus to save up that $500 and take it out versus, oh God, I'm not doing anything for the people in Nigeria. Hey, when will I even do something for them? Will this be enough? Will this not be enough? Right? That clarity of, okay, why do I even agree it's $500 that I need to send back to Nigeria? Right? It takes care of X, Y, Z. Okay, $500 does the magic. Okay, let me work towards how I can get $500. Right? I start saying, okay, I get $100 every week from my weekly check or from my bi-weekly check. Okay, after 4 or 5 weeks, I should be able to make the money and send it back home. That clarity takes pressure off you, in my opinion. And the fact that I'm able to, at the end of this week, put the $100 together, just puts you on the path of, okay, I'm getting there. So I think it's a very positive thing to set goals, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Eddie. And I also think that for people back home, I think we should also be patient. I mean, when we have our daughter, our cousin, somebody from us travel, I think we should be patient for them or patient with them so they can settle in. Okay, because I mean, the truth is that the dollars, the pounds, the euros are not picked by the roadsides. They have to work hard, and they have to also, sort themselves out somehow. So I think it's important for the people back home also to also give a bit of space, yes,
Yep.
for people when they japa, yeah. And
That's very
I think
true.
from setting goals, really, like you said, if you know that you will not be able to make the promises happen or meet the needs in the next 1 month, you should let them know that, okay, I think it's going to take me about 6 weeks to get this done. I think it's going to take me about 2 months to get this done. So that also, like you said, takes the pressure off. So if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a budget, you would not even be able to tell when you'll be able to, like help if you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just a couple of words on that, right? When people travel abroad, I always appeal to people back home in Nigeria to do two things. One, don't only think about what the person is earning, think about what the person is spending. It's very easy to say, oh, I hear that you're earning $30 an hour and you work $40, $50 a week, 40, 50 hours a week, which means, oh, on a weekly basis, you're making 1,500. So in a month, you're making 6,000. How can't you give me 1,000 out of that every month? Thank you very much. Let's do the maths. He goes to work, works $30 every hour. He works 50 hours a week, which is stretch. He makes $1,500. Do you know how much tax he pays? 30%. Take 30% off that. Good. Do you know how much he pays for house at the end of the month? Take his housing cost off that.
Look at that.
Do you know how much he spends on gas, driving to work and coming back? Take it out of that. Good. Let him tell you the other bills he has to pay. And then because he has come here, he's not going to live from hand to mouth. He needs to be able to save up money. Otherwise, he cannot make progress here. And usually what I tell people is, if the person you're counting on is not progressing, then you yourself, you're stuck because you're not moving forward. If you're holding somebody on the waist, the person needs to be moving forward for you to be moving forward. But if you're pulling the person back by the demands you're making and the ask you are on the things you're asking for, and the person is forced to stand on one position, you have just effectively put yourself on the same spot. So you're not making progress. Give the person some opportunity to, be able to, especially at the very beginning. And that's why I talked about have a closer strategy. That's a conversation that you should have before you jump back.
Yeah.
Make sure that's very clear. Now, for the first couple of months when I'm going there, please, guys, you're going to continue living the way you are. As a matter of fact, I'm leaving you this 100K in this account. You're going to have to manage it, right? Why I sort myself out? Because it's very important that I sort myself out. Because if I don't sort myself out, then all of us have a problem, right? So that's usually my advice to people back home, to take it easy with people. And then, in the same vein, I always say to people who come over here, don't forget that you get why you did here. I tell people that you get why.
Yeah, not so.
You get why you did here, my brother. You can't live like every other person. Remember where you are coming from. What is unique to you? The guy who is buying car, doing this, doing that, is probably the last born of his family, has no obligation. You are wanting to compete and live at the same level with him. But you don't forget in a community carry you come here. You have brother, sister, wife, child back home in Nigeria that you have to take care of, right? So be very responsible enough to understand where you are, and based on that, make the right calls and decision. Yes. But very good point.
Interesting. You get why
you get why. That's why.
I like that one. I really do. Okay, so let's get into the credit system thing. I'm actually already thinking, we spent over an hour. So I'm wondering, do you want us to still go ahead, or should we pick this up from the next episode?
We can do it the next episode, but I can just say a couple of things before we drop out on credit system.
Okay, beautiful. Please, let's do that. I think we should move it to the next episode.
Yeah, I think for anybody who's relocating now or has jackpot successfully within the last couple of months, I just want to say to you that don't be afraid of credit. Right? Credit is for your own advantage, but don't misuse it. As a matter of fact, what I encourage people to do is to start early with credit. We'll talk a ton about that in our next episode, but what I just want to make sure that people understand is that credits, every economy is credit driven. Even in Nigeria, we are a credit driven economy. The people who are building big companies, building those big estates in Lekki and everywhere, are not building it with their money. It will shock people to know that is the money that a lot of people contributed in Federal Mortgage Bank. That most of the big real estate people are using in Nigeria to build those beautiful houses. Because people are so afraid to go back to Federal Mortgage Bank and ask for the loan they need to build their own houses. Is that simple? It will also shock people to know that in Nigeria, they're using debit card. When you go to the bank gives you a debit card. You go to the ATM, you cash it. The difference is that the money is there before you use the card. When you come abroad, you get what it credit. In fact, a lot of people have credit card in Nigeria already. When you come abroad, you get a credit card. The money is there. The difference is just that you're going to pay it after you finish using it. Just how you manage it. Just want to make sure that people get out of that shock of credit first. Because I went through that shock. Right? When you get into a country like, you can actually get credit because your banker starts to advise you. Anybody that talks to you about financial matters starts to talk to you about credit. You're wondering, are these people all crazy? As a matter of fact, when I get into a store, they tell you, okay, we'll give you a 25% discount if you sign up for a credit card right now. I always tell them, sorry, thank you. I will not take it. Yeah, that's what many stores do. They want to give you a credit card. You buy something, and just imagine that you have Japan now, right? And you needed some things in your house, and you really need money. And somebody tells you, you bought something of $1,000 because you really needed to set up your house. And the person tells you, I'm going to give you a 25% discount if you sign up for a credit card right now. And you're really caught between, do I or do I not? I think you need a lot of information on how to manage credit to be able to take advantage of those kind of opportunities. Now, I am absolutely not saying walk into any store and take any credit. As a matter of fact, don't even try that.
I'm just saying, taking everything.
Yes, I'm just saying, have the wisdom and the information about how the credit system works so that you can use it to your advantage. That's what I'm trying to say. And do not get that cultural shock that many of us get when we're told, oh, you can take it for credit. You'll be wondering, if I take this thing for credit, I go sleep well. So I've heard a number of people say such things. And I just want to make sure that I say that's a myth. That's not something that's so real. I mean, credit works for you if you know how to use it. I think we're out of time. Did you hear me?
No, I didn't.
Oh, the internet is right?
Yes.
But can you hear me well right now?
I can hear you very well right now. But what you said in the last 1 minute, I didn't hear you.
Okay. So what I was saying was that I just wanted to make sure that people don't have the same cultural shock that I had.
Yes, because we haven't been used to doing that. Well,
correct. Yeah, where it looks like credit is something forbidden. When I first came, right? It's not true, right? It's about how you use it. So it's important that you get the information such that you can use it to your own advantage.
Awesome. Praise God. That's awesome. So don't run away from credit, only that you need to understand a few basic things about credit. And I think that's why we're going to draw the curtains today, because I'd like for you to really, really anticipate the next meeting, because there we're going to really break it down. Apart from the fact that we've spent over an hour, almost an hour, 30 minutes, I also realized that my guests may be needing to do some other things with the rest of the day. So we're going to come back but the truth is that this from here, next time is going to be just all about the credit. And then you get the chance to also ask many other questions about the credit facility and how it can work for you. So don't run away from it. It's just understanding how it works. Honestly, absolutely. I'm sure you'll be blessed, hearing that. So I didn't remember to mention that you could ask questions if you have questions for our guests. So let me just, in the next, maybe like 5 minutes, if you put it right in the comment section of the YouTube platform, let me know if you have any questions for our guests before we take our leave today. I'm sure you've been blessed, with this program today. I have been thoroughly, though I don't live abroad currently, but I'm very blessed. And I know that if I'm having conversations with people who live abroad, I may be able to help them be in because sometimes there's family discussion and everything. And of course, if you have an understanding of something, you can always help the other person with it or connect them with somebody who has a better understanding than they do. And I realized, excuse me, that this thing is not a function of how long you've lived in the country, right, Eddie?
Yes.
Because sometimes, yes, it's not a function. Sometimes some people have been there 20, 30 years. Trust me, there's so much they don't know. Things are happening around them. And honestly, Eddie, there have been times that we have traveled and some people living in there and who have lived there for so long, they don't even know about certain things. They don't even know certain things exist.
Yes.
So we're the ones who get there and we're trying to tell them this, and they're like, really? Yeah, really. Okay, so we all must be in that space. Okay, somebody said thank you, Mama Tolu and Mr. Edison. Okay. Or Edowu Solomon, thank you, said kudos to you. God bless you. All right. Okay, Gracie Show said awesome session. Thanks. Okay. God bless you guys. Thank you for joining this morning. If it's morning with you or afternoon, whatever time it is with you. And in case you're watching from Australia as well. But if you have questions, I'd also like to take your questions right now. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so Eddie, so I was saying that this thing is not a function of how long you've been there. I think it's just about humbling ourselves and taking the lessons we need to, okay? Even if it means taking the lessons from people who have just arrived or people who have only been there short, open enough and humble enough to ask questions and be willing to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. And if there will be any last words, I would say, can you hear me?
Nobody should be under pressure when it comes to making a decision about the place to live. My emphasis is always about information, especially when a man is going with his entire family. You have to find out about the city, find out about the country, find out about so many things that are necessary to or essential, to the comfort of your family. My name is Tolu Aladesomi and this is Relocating Right on YouTube. I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you can get notifications and all that information that you need. From time to time, you get the opportunity to ask questions, and then you also get the opportunity to have some of those little details that will be most helpful to you on this trip. Let's go on this journey. Hello, Eddie. Unmute yourself, please. Okay, Eddie, can you hear me now?
Yes. I think we lost you for a minute. All right, awesome.
It's well, but I'm so glad that we've been able to say something that has blessed people today. I mean, they're saying awesome session and all that. Thank God. And by the grace of God, we'll continue. So, can you give us parting words before we move into the next episode?
So there are three things I just want to reemphasize. Number one, information makes a big difference. I have found in my own personal experience that the information you have can limit you or can, or can accelerate you. And I always encourage people, if you think you don't have the information you need, go out and look for it. If you're pursuing education, walk to schools, pick up the phone, call schools, ask questions. People are never tired of answering your questions, right? Make sure you have a ton of information that continues to lead you in the right spot. Secondly, avoid the crowd effect. When people travel, that crowd effect is very, very common, especially with people of our color. There's always that, there becomes very easily that conversation of the person was here 3 years and see what the person did. You don't have to you're not on the same track, right? You don't have to, within the 3 years, do exactly what that person did. You guys are not coming from the same place. And you have your own dreams and goals. So stay on track and be consistent with it, right? And thirdly, be a goal setter. It helps a lot. It is not work. As a matter of fact, it's something that helps you, and it can be fun depending on how you approach it. So do it as something that you enjoy doing, and let it be a tool for you to be able to say, how well am I doing? And celebrate when you're doing well. And when you're not doing well, let it be a motivation for you to say, okay, I'm going to focus on this area. I'm going to put a little bit more effort here. I'm going to ask for some help here, versus it becomes like, oh, you're not getting something right, and you start to feel terribly bad. So those are a couple of things I just wanted to say, because I realized that, one, people who relocate, especially in the early years of their relocation, can feel a lot of pressure on how much progress they're making and whether they made the right decision. So getting all that information, making those plans, and having very clear goals just helps to continue to inspire you and keep you on the right track. Can you hear me?
Not really.
Oh, can you hear me now? God bless the internet.
Honestly, it is so well. By the grace of God, I would have like because right now we're using like 2 different internets. Can you imagine? There's one, the Wi-Fi at home, and then one of those other ones too. So just trying to juggle everything. If we have to get more next time, we will. But it's okay. It's all right. Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you so much for your time. And I did say you were going to pray from the beginning, so just pray for us shortly, and then we'll just be on our way out.
Father, we are thankful for this opportunity, right? We're thankful for the grace that you have given us, first of all, to be able to think about the decision to relocate or to have relocated successfully. We're also grateful to you for the information that you have provided us, and for this time to be able to hear the things that you spoke to us today. We pray that the information we've heard today will make an impact in our life. We ask for the grace to use it right, use it well, and for it to make a difference in the lives that we live.
Lord.
Thank you, Father, for everyone who listened in, and for those who hear this message after now, because we have prayed in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much, Eddie. God bless you and your family. So we look forward to having you the next episode. Yay!
Yes. So next time we'll talk about the credit system, because I think there's a ton of information in that space.
All right, then. Thank you so much for your time. And for everyone who's joined today, thank you so much. I saw you, from the US, from Nigeria. I wish I asked you your countries, but, going by those names, I could already tell some of you that I know where you're from. But I want to say thank you all for joining, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Please let somebody know about this. You said it blessed you, so please let somebody else be blessed. That's the idea. This is totally free. I mean, I'm not making money from it. I'm just trying to help people everywhere, especially Nigerians. We shouldn't go there and do and not be fulfilled. I mean, why would you leave Nigeria and then go travel abroad and you're not making it, you're not successful? That's certainly not the plan of God for you. And of course, I always like to say, for the family setting, it's important that you relocate your family and they don't suffer. It's the onion lies on you to ensure that you protect your family and that your children, are grateful that you're doing that for them. So let's do it right, okay? That's why it's relocating right. And I look forward to seeing you again next time, by the grace of God. God bless you. Thank you to my team. Jeannie, God bless you. Thank you. God bless you. See you all later. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
We will. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nobody should be under pressure when it comes to making a decision about the place to live. My emphasis is always about information, especially when a man is going with his entire family. You have to find out about the city, find out about the country, find out about so many things that are necessary to or essential, to the comfort of your family. My name is Tulu Aladesomi and this is Relocating Right on YouTube. I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel so that you can get notifications and all that information that you need. From time to time, you get the opportunity to ask questions, and then you also get the opportunity to have some of those little details that will be most helpful to you on this trip. Let's go on this journey.